with me. The girl, she was left stranded. So she goes and applies for leave because you cannot stand in that office and work. And when she applies for leave, her services are terminated. Now this matter goes to the court. And the court says what? This lady's evidence is sufficient enough. We don't need anybody else's evidence. The way that girl has said the thing, that is nothing but the truth. So therefore, we are not going to any other evidence. The man should be dismissed. The dismissal order against the girl should be set aside. One more case, third case, and I will conclude. My time will come to an end before I am pushed out. The third case is a company where the manager, like me, says the chairman has called us to Taj, the secretary, you see. So he tells the secretary, come to Taj, let's go, carry your typewriter also with you, we'll go and crack a letter there. The chairman, the great dictator, wants to dictate. So you have to take down in shorthand or longhand, whatever, and produce this letter. They go to Taj, letter is typed, and the girl takes the dictation first. The manager, who makes spelling mistakes while speaking, tells this girl, I will help you in, correct spelling and all that. So let me sit near you. And he sits near her, tries to touch her inappropriately, sometimes touches her also inappropriately, and the lady protests. And she doesn't know what to do. Somehow she completes the dictation, typing and all that, comes back to the office and weeps. So the neighboring girl asks her, what is wrong with you? Should I call the doctor? She says, no. But what is wrong with you? She says, I can't tell you. Why can't you tell me? So she says, this is what happened over there. This matter also goes to the court. And the lawyers argue. What is it that I do? What is it that I did? I did nothing. At best, you can say I tried to touch her. At best, I tried to touch her. This is all. That is the most that you can say about the charge. And where is the evidence for all this? It is my word against her word. And the court said, no, 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 no. This girl has gone back to the office and has told her friend that this is what happened to me in the hotel. That is evidence enough. Forget about everything. That officer will have no sympathy from us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know that the state of law is absolutely severe in the sense that you cannot hope to have the entire gamut of principles of natural justice, the detailed examination and cross-examination, considering every little thing in the inquiry proceedings as the basis for coming to a conclusion as far as sexual harassment cases are concerned. Right? This is basically given to protect ladies. And when I say ladies, they are not ladies like you. You are educated. You are well employed. You are well protected and looked after by companies and houses and all that. When you look at the society in this country, there are hundreds and thousands of women working in different sets of circumstances in factories. Like, for example, your tailoring ladies who go in hundreds, in rows, in lorries to the garment shops. It's basically for them. It is basically for them. I am not saying, and I am not one to say that this law really arms the empowers the ladies. I am not saying that, because the cultural factor which I mentioned earlier still needs to be overcome. Subject to that, all that I said is that you have a very shortened procedure, you have a very definitive procedure under the laws given by the Income Tax Act, by the Supreme Court, and it is possible for all of you to constitute a committee for two purposes. One is to slowly push the ladies to accept some sort of arrangement so that it doesn't become a big proceedings which will save your time. And in important cases, if it becomes big proceedings, you have the wherewithal to know what is the type and quantum of proof required to hang a person or let off a person. Right? And thank you very much. Delightful addressing you. Yeah.
Thanks, Krishnamurthy, for the excellent examples. Yeah, just one question we'll take, but not that. After that, we'll...
Can the committee do away with the cross-examination?
Surely, surely, surely. That is a college case.
Yes.
That is a college case. They said no question of cross-examination. Again, in that T. Selvam's case, Tamil Selvam, I said, no question of cross-examination. There was one more college case, Azamgarh College or something like that, 1977, Supreme Court said that where a lecturer harassed one of the girl students and he wanted to cross-examine that girl before the committee said, absolutely no question, no cross-examination. Sure. It all again depends on the nature of the, now take the case of that man who put his hand on the forehead. First case I mentioned, small little story I mentioned, no? She comes and says, I am feeling feverish. So he puts her hand, holds her palm, checks and says, you are not feverish. Take a slightly different example. Same facts. She comes to the office, says, I am not well. The doctor, company doctor is sitting there. So company doctor feels her forehead, takes her pulse. Is that a sexual harassment?
No.
So in this case, perhaps if there is a cross-examination, that should be allowed. But in the earlier case, there is no need. Or in more severe critical cases, there will be no need for cross-examination, right?
Thank you.
But depending upon the facts of the case, as Krishnamurthy rightly said, the lady can be examined without the presence of the respondent. And respondent also can be examined without the lady also. Even that is permissible, depending on the facts of the case. What is important is ultimately genuineness of the complaint and clear evidence of the victim found firm and intent versus impact. This becomes important.
Excuse me, sir. Your telephone saying that you have to withdraw the complaint, otherwise we'll pick your children or do something, etc. At the time, what is the role of ICC to do with that exactly? And the mobile number will be available with the aggrieved woman.
You see, that is something which happens externally.
Yeah.
So only thing available to the internal committee is that they cannot go on investigating the external thing. They have to lodge the complaint. They have to help the lady concerned to make a complaint to the police. And the police will be able to locate through the phone numbers, etc., identify the culprit and put the law in motion.
If it is in the office number, sir, if it is in the internal number too, where she works.
Maybe with the assistance of the office people, police will be able to identify the real culprit.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, we'll now ask Devaka Gowda to take the session. 20 minutes with you.
Oh, yes. Well, friends, after having heard a very exhaustive and a knowledgeable presentation by Mr. Krishnamurthy, so my presentation may not be as attractive as it has been of him. In any event, there is some similarity between him and me because I have spent 30 years in a largest bank in India. That is purely a domestic bank, whereas he has spent his experience has been with the multinational banks. One. Number two, he has lot of experience of dealing with the sexual harassment cases. Whereas, even though I worked in the head office for 18 years, out of which 10 years have been as the head of the department, I had no case where any harassment complaint had been received by me during my tenure. But this situation is different now. Now the head of the department, the HR department, is a graceful Bengali lady. When she came here to Bangalore, and that I asked her, you see, there are so many things about it, the modern day concept, wherever you meet, executives meet, first thing they will discuss is about SHW Act. So what is your position? Then she said, Gowda Sahib, tum to bahut अच्छी तरह से निकल गया, मैं इस तैयार कर रहा हूँ, because the nature of work has undergone change on account of advance in technology, which I will deal with it at the end of my presentation. So, the task assigned to me for presentation on this is that how to write the findings of the internal committee. So instead of taking you to this thing, kindly give slide number 5. Because time constraint is there. Yes. You see, you assume the sake of argument, you have been given a conceptual framework about the topic by Mr. Ranjan Malhotra in a very exhaustive way. Mr. Prabhakar has dealt with the statutory provision. Mr. Krishnamurthy, in his character style, he has given how to conduct the inquiry. As far as he is concerned, he is the master in conducting inquiries and coming to he has written a book on that. So he has given the entire procedure. Now I would give you certain tidbits as to how to write the proceedings or how to write the findings of the internal committee. So you have a complete proceedings before you, the statements given by the complainant, statement given by the witnesses and all other. Only next step for you is to analyze and evaluate the evidence adduced before the committee. That is the first step you have to do. So your analysis should relate to the facts on record. It should not be on your perception. It should not be on the basis of something which you have heard somewhere else. Whatever is available on the record, you have to make an analysis of it. I would say the committee consists of 4 persons. So definitely each of you should go through the proceeding carefully. Better have a pencil and a pad, note down the facts, and thereafter, before someone is interested with writing of the proceedings, or the writing of the findings, let there be a discussion among the members of the committee as to what they should write. Let there be a meeting of minds as to what has transpired in the entire proceedings. What is the complaint given, what is the witness given, and what exactly the crucial points which you will have to examine. So that particularly you have to note down those points and thereafter write for decision. Kindly go to the next slide. Then this should be in preparing the report, you should have the following points for consideration. There should not be any perversity in the findings. You see, perversity is in relation, if you arrive at a decision which is not based on the facts on record, then it is a perverse finding. So that should not be the case. The finding should be reasonable, logical, and demonstrate that the committee has applied its mind to each of the conclusion arrived at. Then, the report should avoid reference to any general principles. You see, the moral values, we receive reports from the committees saying that this should not have been, that should have been, nordly. Committee is not the moral custodian of the complainant or the respondent or that what the committee has to do it has to arrive at the conclusion on the basis of the facts placed before it by both the parties. Then committee may recommend disciplinary action against this one. Actually, there was a debate as to, even Mr. Prabhakar raised the issue, whether once the committee has arrived at the findings on it, whether it is could be the basis for taking action in the sense imposing the punishment as such, or should there be an inquiry in the matter. You see, one was that a logical conclusion was given saying that yes, it can go, and he also referred to Mehta Kotwal's decision where the Supreme Court itself said that it should be the basis of the decision. But if you look at the Act closely, when it was presented, in case the Act intended that it should be only a fact-finding committee, it should not have empowered the internal internal complaint committee to recommend punishment. The basis of the fact that it has been empowered to make a recommendation, it conclusively establishes that the Act intended that the report of the committee should be the final one, and the victim or the unfortunate lady should not be subjected to a further harassment by exposing her to appear before another inquiry committee to establish charges in accordance with the domestic violence. So, in other words, why I am stressing this point is that when the committee writes the report, they should exercise due care and caution, because it is going to be the basis for deciding the action, and this, once the report goes, when the action is concerned, it is subject to scrutiny by the third forum in the event the respondent challenges the findings of the inquiry and the action initiated taken by the company against the person. So that is why it is necessary that you should make. Well, the committee has also been empowered to recommend compensation to the victim. That is the next route. You see, I will give a small decision which says, it puts it rather positively in the sense, or the negatively in the sense, that these things have not had been done and this should not have been done. You see, this was a case where it is the, kindly take slide number 7. 7, yes. The Honorable Supreme Court has explained the approach to be adopted by the inquiry officer in arriving at the, please read instead of inquiry officer, internal committee. The finding and conclusion of the inquiry, this is again Anil Kumar, etc. It is well settled that the disciplinary inquiry has to be quasi-judicial and held in accordance with principles of natural justice, and the inquiry officer has a duty to act judicially. The inquiry officer did not apply his mind to the evidence. I said that go to the facts on record. He did not. Save setting out the names of the witness, he did not discuss the evidence. He merely recorded his ipse dixit that the charges are proved. Then, he did not assign single reason why the evidence produced by the appellant did not read the appellant to the respondent in our case, did not appeal to him, or was considered not creditworthy. He did not permit peep into his mind as to why the evidence produced by the management appealed to him in preference to the evidence produced by the appellant. An inquiry report is a quasi-judicial inquiry, must show the reason for the conclusion, and it cannot be an ipse dixit of the inquiry officer. It has to be a speaking order in the sense that the conclusion is supported by the reasons. The court has pointed out, next slide please. The court has pointed out the deficiencies to be observed in the manner of inquiry. That means these deficiencies should be avoided. So this is the way in which. Then I have given you a format in which the committee can make the report. You see, kindly don't confuse with what Mr. Krishnamurthy gave. Krishnamurthy gave the order sheet, day-to-day proceedings which has to be made. This is the final report which has to be made, because the present, etc., somewhere this tallies with that. So, inquiry in the matter of complaint, it is so regarding the conduct of suit towards the complainant. Then this, indicate the action members clearly. Give the facts leading to the complaint and also the gist of the complaint. Give the list of evidence witnesses examined in support of the allegation, including the statement of the complainant. The document produced by both the parties may also be listed. Narrate in serial terms the important points of evidence of the complainant and her witness. Adopt the same procedure with regard to statement of the accused. Analyze and evaluate evidence. You see, analyze and evaluate are not the same things. Analysis only you describe, and thereafter on the basis of the analysis, what is the conclusion you draw, that is the evaluation. Then findings of the committee. Recommendation for taking dismissal, treating the conduct proved against the employee as a misconduct under the service rules. Recommendation for payment of compensation having regard to the facts and circumstances of the case. Further findings of the committee after the receipt of submission made by parties after going through the findings of the committee. So these are certain things which are the format which is to be done. In case if this sort of format is produced, even if it goes to any third party, that includes this thing. Suppose, let us assume for the sake of argument where they approach the conciliation machinery itself. Even if the conciliation machinery itself, the conciliation officer also goes through the findings of the inquiry officer to see whether there is a case made out for sending it for adjudication or otherwise. Even if it is that, we should be able to see that. Kindly have the assignment issue. Sometimes it is said, write with a detachment of judge. In other words, it means that detachment is not that. You see, the detachment of a judge is that there is an example where the judge used to write the judgment. Afterwards, he used to throw away the pen to show his detachment. That is not detachment. Detachment of the unbiasedness. You have an unbiased view about the whole affair. Neither look at the respondent nor look at the complainant.